So welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be planting out my courgettes and some of my squashes. I'm going to be showing you how I do it and how I look after them in their early stages. If you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my allotment and also my home kitchen. Now I've already marked out where I'm going to plant my courgettes. Because once you've got them planted and they get quite big, it's hard to work out where the stem is to then water them. So the other day I dug over it. I've dug in a little bit of some chicken pellets, and I've also marked it out with canes already and put bottles on the end so I don't catch my eyes on them. So one of the things I do is I try, although my squashes and my courgettes will roughly be in the same place, I try and choose a specific area to put the courgettes so I don't get muddled up between the two, and so I can access them really easy, because don't forget your courgettes will start to fruit much earlier in the year. And your squashes will take a lot longer and they'll mature around October time. So what I generally do is I'll either plant, say, the courgettes along a row along here, or a row along the back, so I know roughly where I'm looking for my courgettes when I'm going to pick them. And my squashes I plant in the other area. So if I stick to what I normally do, I put the courgettes across this front row. So I shall pop some of those in now. I've got a real mixture, and if I'm honest, I'm probably going to run out of room. I'm going to have to poke some in other places to fit them all in. But the courgettes I'm going to be planting out today, I've got a golden coloured one, so a long golden one. I've got a light green courgette. I've also got dark green, so a good traditional dark green courgette there. I've also got a green patty pan as well, which is like those little flying saucer ones. I've also got some round ones at home, but I've not brought one of those down with me. I can only get so many out in one day. So it's just, I like to grow a variety just because it makes it more interesting. The textures are all slightly different and the colours make everything more interesting as well. So, but it's up to you, you know. Really and truthfully, you probably only need get rid of a couple of weeds that seem to have snuck in over the last week while I've not been here. So there we go. So just like I said, plant it near the cane so you know where the stem is and you know when to water them. So you dig a nice deep hole, so about the depth of the pot, so you're not trying to sink it down. If the stalk was quite leggy, I would take it down a little bit, but basically the size of the pot, and you just pop that in like so. So just gently put it in the ground. Try not to damage the stem, because that's the most delicate bit on this. So your main predators when you first put them out are generally the slugs and the snails. Now for that reason I always start off extra ones, so I've got backup. So if any of these get nibbled, I've got others to put in their place. And of course don't forget to mark it, because if one does get nibbled, you want to know which one to replace it with. You don't want 6 of the same variety. The idea is you get a mixture, so that's a really big top tip. Make sure you do mark them if you do what I do and you plant a selection. So let's get another courgette out. Oh, I did bring some round ones up, so I've got a round one there. So dig that over. Just pop that in. Like I say, nice little roots there, so you can see it's doing really, really well. All depending what stage your courgettes are at home. If they're not big enough to put out yet, one really big thing is don't overwater things like this. If you start overwatering things when they're in the pots at home, they can die off. So although they do in the long term need a lot of water, once they start fruiting, initially you don't want to soak them, otherwise it's a really easy way of losing your lovely plants. So there we go, and putting my marker in there so I know what one that is. So I've got one each of my courgettes out. I'm now going to start putting out my squashes. Now I've got the spaghetti squash, and if you've never grown that before, that is particularly lovely. Exactly what it says on the tin. When you cook it and you get a fork on it, it strands just like spaghetti. So it's really quite an unusual texture. Good old-fashioned butternut will be going in. Dumpling, which are like those little, yeah, I mean they are just little tiny squashes. They're one of my favourites actually, because they keep really, really well. Some people call them Crown Prince. Another one is mashed potato squash. I've never grown that before, but that's a new one for me, so I'm looking forward to giving that a go. I guess there's no guessing what that's going to be like. Sunshine squash, which is like a bright orange squash, which looks a little bit like a small pumpkin. And lastly, another dumpling. So I've put two dumplings in today. So those are the ones that are going to be going in today. And then obviously, like I said, if these ones don't make it, then I've got some backups at home to put in. So exactly the same method as for the other, for the courgettes. So you dig a hole just the size of the pot, and then just drop it in the ground. So I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but actually the ground, although it looks quite dry on the top, it's actually still quite moist underneath. But I will be watering these in at the end before I go, because although it seems a little bit overcast today, and we've got no weather forecast of any really heavy rain coming, so I will give everything a good water before I go today. So, and obviously, like I said, don't forget to mark them, so you know if one does go, you know what to replace it with. It would be absolutely marvellous if the slugs or the snails didn't take any of them, but I don't think I've had a year yet where I've not lost one to some kind of slug or snail. But hey ho, you know, it's all part of the process. I get plenty of squashes every year, so as long as that continues to be the case, I don't mind if I do lose the odd plant here and there. So all my squashes and courgettes are out, and all I'm going to do now is just water them in. So if you want to feed your courgettes, which I always do, tomato feed is absolutely perfect because you want it to produce lots of fruits. So the same thing that you use for your tomatoes. So that's nice and easy. So give these a good water in. I will give you some more hints and tips as the year goes on about looking after them, but I thought just to do the initial how you plant them and how you look after them is the main thing, just to get you started. So I'd love to hear what everyone else is growing. If you've got any unusual varieties of squash and courgette or pumpkin, I'd love to hear. Anything that you think grows particularly well and anything you particularly like, I always love to hear about.